Well, happy Saturday to you. This is the Real Money Pros, a live program caught right here on the weekends, and you just caught us as well. So you're reading the news, you're hearing about the news. The United States and Israel have both decided that they're going to attack Iran. Iran is responding not only to Israel and to the United States, but also now to other countries, Jordan, Saudi Arabia, from what I understand. And it's a mess over there. Turkey is upset about it. France was never warned about it. The UK is saying that Iran should never be retaliating against any of the other countries. But this is war, and it comes on a Saturday. The Saturday program here, the Real Money Pros, we're a money show. We talk about money, but money can be, in even more so, economies and markets can be very affected by major news events like these. So what do you think? Give us a phone call, 979-59-MONEY. That's 979-596-6639. Jeremiah Bates is here. I'm Brian Wiley, both fiduciary financial advisors practicing. We understand the business of money. Now, do we understand the business of war? No, we don't. It's not our thing, but I'm sure there are listeners who have some great opinions. What are you going to do about it? Does it change anything in your forecast for your financial goals? Does it change your ideas about the markets? Is this something that is going to create the perfect storm to end the AI bubble, to have a war in the middle of it, and we get back to where we really are, which is going to be high oil prices and high inflation and all that stuff? Woe is me. What are your thoughts? We'd like to hear it. Jeremiah, you're digesting it at the same time. I know we have the phone lines open, and we're going to start lining them up and having here on the program as soon as we can. I'm just getting everything logged in from my side. What do you think about all this stuff?
I mean, obviously, never something that you generally want to see. We'll just kind of put it this way, like zoomed out level. But now we kind of distill this down into what does this mean for you? What does it mean for your investments? We're going to talk about how does this affect the financial picture? My takeaway is this: interesting to see how the oil markets respond. Obviously, the concern is that, you got 20% of the world's oil, distributed through Iran and that Hormuz Strait?
Strait of Hormuz.
Strait of Hormuz. So, again, it's
the way I say it anyway.
Yeah, let's stick to that. How long does this go? Meaning, if there's a quick resolution, then what we'll likely see is some opening to the downside, some volatility. I think this may have been top of mind for Wall Street, that these escalations and these talks were continuing. I don't necessarily think that this was in the forecast necessarily. But yeah, that's my takeaway on this. How do the markets respond? And I will say this: we have seen historically these geopolitical conflicts, and generally there is a market reaction, but you give it time, we start to see the resolution, things start to calm down, we get more information. It's usually in these cases, it's sell first, ask questions later. And then as we get more information, things settle down. The markets generally do that as well. So for investors, I want to make this very clear that this point in time, this shouldn't change your trajectory. Understanding that these geopolitical conflicts, these curveballs that can get thrown in from a macroeconomic environment, the market will react to these, but you have to bring it down to what is your strategy, what is your approach, and not making sure that these headlines, these, whatever market pundits are going to come out and say this and say that, just distill it down to what does it mean for your investments, make good strategic decisions, not decisions made out of emotion.
A lot of weekend news-making stuff that's happened over the last couple decades, and how do you respond to it? I can tell you what it's done to me. We'll do a little bit more of that later on the program. This is Real Money Pros. Let's get to, and I'm going to guess that L.A. means Los Angeles, not Louisiana. And we've got Bob on the line. Bob, thanks for calling the Real Money Pros.
Hi, Brian and Jeremy. Thanks for taking the call. I guess in the big picture, my questions mean very little compared to what's going on in the world, but they're important to me, so that's why I'm calling. Number one, I just filed my taxes, and now in the mail today, I just got a 1099 from a bank that I don't know why they sent it now. So, man, what do I do? Am I screwed? Do I have to file a 1040X, or is there a workaround?
How much is the 1099?
It's about $2,700.
Oh yeah, you need to amend.
Yep.
Gonna have to pay taxes on that.
Would you recommend I do the 1040X now or wait till next year, or What's your thoughts?
Well, I'm curious. It's because has the state of California, do you have any tipped income or Social Security income that you're concerned about getting taxed? Any of the coordination of the new great big beautiful bill?
I am a senior. I was due for a refund. So
Okay.
just
Probably
so you
won't
know.
change anything there. What we understand, and we're going to have a CPA, our CPA that was frequents the program here on the program next hour. We're going to ask her some of the questions, but the state we live in has not actually created the tax, made the tax changes in the system. So anybody that has filed their taxes up to this point is going to have to refile those taxes likely, especially if those things would affect them. But if you're not concerned about those affecting you, then yeah, I would just go through and do the amended tax return and fire it off. It doesn't matter if you amend 10 minutes later or if you amend whenever. It's just as long as it's done before tax filing deadline.
Oh, okay. So I should call my tax preparer and just let him know, and then.
Yep.
What I hate is I've got to pay the 1040X fee, but I guess that's life, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
right.
Okay.
I think, and this is a trajectory that I've seen really over the past few years, is that many clients that I work, people that I talk to, that historically they want to get their taxes done right away. But as time goes on, maybe you're getting into investments that issue a K-1 or whoever the custodian is, in this case in your bank, they were delayed with getting you that 1099, or they're doing corrected 1099s. So it's like, hey, I filed my taxes. Now I'm getting all these updated tax documents. So what I suggest is, getting all your ducks in a row, so everything's on track, but then you have certainty that there's no hanging chads out there from some random tax document. But most certainly, Brian nailed it. The fact that you have a 1099 that reports income that you made, get on that sooner rather than later, particularly before that deadline. Maybe a different case if you needed to amend and it wasn't and you were due a return, because you just don't want to run into any penalties or interest. So the sooner you do this, the better. Yeah, the downside is you may have to pay your tax preparer a fee to do that amendment, but well worth it in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I hear you. Quick, thank you. Another quick question. I'm seeking financial planning advice. What's the pros and cons of seeking a fee only versus getting somebody full annually?
Oh, I see. Flat fee only versus paying them on a regular basis. Well, flat fee is kind of a one and done thing. So you go in, you get the service you need. The theory is it's kind of like paying for things a la carte. And if that seems worthwhile, the most important thing, Bob, is if you go in and get flat fee financial planning done and you have some sort of a roadmap of what you've got to do over the coming years, the most important thing is that you will actually do those things and not manipulate the strategy or time it or get lazy or any of that stuff, or not even accelerate things either, but to follow the plan. What that ends up doing for two things. One is it's going to help you become strategic and actually systematic about being strategic, meaning you've got a strategy, you follow it. But second is most people don't actually follow it. So they need somebody that is going to hold them to it. And even if you paid a flat fee once a year just to go in there and show them, here's what I did, I followed all the instructions and everything, maybe that'll be a little bit less expensive. But I think a lot of people they don't do it. And because they don't complete it, then I would suggest that they have the fiduciary on their payroll, in essence. It's like a retainer. They're drawing a fee from their investment accounts, and it's on them to also then contact the clients, be positive in contacting them, making sure beneficiaries are up to date and life changes and having conversations. So, a la carte's nice. If you can follow that, you'll probably save yourself some money. But in the long run, that's the question too. Then you have tax changes and things that come up. Like, would you actually go back and see your tax advisor a year later if you thought that none of the tax changes really were going to not affect things, but maybe later find out that they are? So I'm tossed. Yeah, I don't know which side's going to be the best.
Concern, let me ask you. My concern on a flat fee arrangement, it's like if I Google, MD, MD.com, and is it like, would the roadmap give me precise instructions on what to do for someone who's never done it before? That's what kind of intimidates me.
Yeah, well, and the instructions get better when you ask a lot of questions and make sure that you can demonstrate a knowledge of what the instructions really are. So it should be very clear on what to do. So, like, for example, when we do flat fee financial planning for people out of our office, we'll tell you what the process looks like. We'll do that after the break. You can continue listening or stay on the call. Thanks, Bob, for the phone call. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back. Businesses today face a barrage of challenges. They hunt for top talent, the search for the right benefits package, and the ever-rising tide of healthcare rates. And putting together the right team to run your HR-related tasks can be expensive, let alone time-consuming. Enter Ataraxis PEO, your professional employer organization ready to tackle all your HR needs from payroll to benefits administration, payroll services, workers' compensation, and talent recruiting. They've got you covered. With Ataraxis, you gain access to a team of experts who handle the nitty-gritty of HR, freeing you up to focus on what you do best, growing your business and growing your revenue. Ataraxis takes the time to learn about your business, crafting personalized solutions to help you and your team succeed. So say goodbye to the stress of HR administration and hello to Ataraxis. Experience the power of a true business partner with Ataraxis PEO. Visit ataraxispeo.com. That's ATARAXISPEO.com. Ataraxis, elevating businesses for the benefit of all.
Looking to make your dream of home ownership a reality? Look no further than Academy Mortgage, your first choice home loan lender. Academy strives to offer the best rates and terms tailored to your financial situation. At Academy Mortgage, you'll be treated like family, not just another file. Navigating today's ever-changing housing market can be challenging, but their team is here to help. Experience the zero-down options, including loans with no mortgage insurance. They also provide specialized medical professional loans and unique 2-to-1 rate buydowns that reduce your monthly payment for the first initial years of your loan. And forget about dealing with brokers and middlemen. With Academy Mortgage, everything happens in-house, from origination to funding. Say goodbye to hassles and surprises. Begin your home ownership journey today by visiting them online at academymortgage.com. That's academymortgage.com.
Academy Mortgage Corporation, NMLS 3113, is an equal housing lender.
Academy Mortgage, your first choice home loan lender.
I know you've been waiting a little bit longer than normal.
Jen's manicure spot needs an extra pair of hands.
Who's at the front desk right now?
Someone who's handy with everything from nail files to spreadsheet files.
Deidre's not coming in today, but we have that whole bachelorette party.
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Instant Match instantly connects you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your sponsored job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
And now, back to the Real Money Pros.
We are back. This is the Real Money Pros. Jeremiah Bates, Brian Wiley. Brian trying to unmute his mic there. I think we got you now.
I had both mutes going.
Both
I had the
mutes?
backup mute going. My machine was really serious
We need
about
to have backup
me.
mutes for Brian. Sometimes he gets a little off kilter.
Phone lines are open. You can call the program at 979-59-MONEY. Bob had just called the program out of Los Angeles, asking the question about, hey, you got a late 1099. I actually have another question for Bob, or at least if he's listening, to answer this question, which is, did the bank send it after January 31st? Because that's actually the filing deadline for the 1099s to be sent out. And recipients should have had them delivered to them by February 2nd. And if they don't, then the sender should accommodate and actually make sure it's to them by February 2nd. So I'm going to guess that it was a little bit late, Bob. And you had mentioned roughly $2,600 in interest on that 1099 shown from the bank, which means you've got a sizable deposit there. I wouldn't hesitate to go talk to your banker and say, hey, I get it. You guys are a little bit late, but I know I got an extra fee to have to cover because of an amendment. It's only because of that document. Would you guys help me cover it? And I don't know if they'll write you a check or if they'll give you something as far as a value goes with your banking relationship, or maybe they'll just say, no, we can't help you, but at least you'd asked. when it comes to the financial planning part of it, Jeremiah and I were talking about this over the break. It's like, man, this could get a little bit nebulous. So I said, well, then how about just explain what happens from the very first phone call, for example, if they were to call our office, which, by the way, you go to treecityadvisors.com, you can find us, but therealmoneypros.com is the landing page for this program, so all contact can go through that just as well. But Jeremiah, like first call, let's say Bob calls and Vicky answers the phone, Tree City Advisors or Amanda does, and schedules an appointment.
Well, from there, it's discovery, right? I mean, and that's what we actually refer to the meeting, and that's where we want to ask for some information beforehand, because the more information that we have going into that meeting, the more value you can get, meaning we can already think of some strategies, but we can assume some strategies based on those tangible figures that you provided beforehand. But then ultimately, it's getting an understanding where you're at, where you want to go. What are your wants? What are your wishes? What are you worried about? What makes you excited? Do you want to retire? Do you want a gift? Like what is everything that you're trying to accomplish? Or you could be at this point where it's like, hey, I've done all this and it's going great, but now I just don't know. I've been doing what I've been doing, and I know things look good from like my account values and that, but I hear this and I hear that. What should I do? Where should we go? So yeah, it is a little bit nebulous, and that answer that everyone loves is kind of like, well, it depends. It depends on each person that you're sitting in front of, because I've had multiple meetings over, let's just use this past month, for example, where these were great planning cases, but each plan had a different focus, had a different strategy around it, where we're going to spend the majority of our time doing that scope of work. But let's just imagine for Bob, he comes in and we do that discovery meeting. We're finding out he's got retirement accounts. He's got investment accounts that are not held in retirement, say a Roth or an IRA, and we're looking at his sources of income, and maybe he's got a pension, and he's married, and he's got kids, and he's got grandkids, and then we're factoring in, okay, where are his assets located all around? Does he have any property? Does he have any income-producing real estate? Meaning this whole line of questioning and that's just barely scratching the surface, I would argue. And then we're going to say, okay, what's important to you right now? What's making you concerned? Are you worried about your liquidity position? Are you worried about the tax ramifications if you did this? How does your estate plan coordinate with all this? And then once we get a really clean snapshot of all those moving parts, and we get a really good understanding of Bob and his family, what's important to him, and how we analyze things through a calculator answer, and how we analyze things through the client / philosophical or emotional answer, and combine those two, then we can say, okay, here's where you're at. Here's where you want to go. Here's what we're seeing at this point of what we should massage, or where we should put focus, or what we should change. And that is that first introduction into the planning process. And the reason why I want to say process is because it is a process. That saying you can eat an elephant one bite at a time. When you look at a full-blown, from top to bottom, A through Z financial plan, when you're covering investments, tax efficiencies, the estate planning, the insurance, by the way, maybe Bob has a family genetic predisposition towards memory loss or Alzheimer's, right? Like that's certainly the case in my family, and that's something that I'm preparing for in my mom's planning and my planning too. So let's not forget about the insurance conversation, right? How we dealing with how we recognize income and how that affects your IRMA charges, aka your Medicare Part B premiums. Do you have any HSA money left over there? Is there efficiencies through Roth conversions? How does that translate to effective inheritance to your heirs? Maybe we should look at gifting assets that are not held in a retirement account, because maybe you're gifting cash to your kids, but in the reality is you have a highly appreciated stock. Maybe it's Caterpillar that's been growing over the many, many years. Like, okay, let's be efficient with this. Instead of giving cash, gift your child the actual stock that you own, the lot, because if they turn around and sell it, yeah, they get your basis, but in theory, at least in this example, they would pay much less or maybe not any capital gains tax on it. So that's just kind of a quick snapshot of what that planning process would look like. But then again, we put an order of priorities, or what are the things that we want to focus on? Okay, let's prioritize and execute. So maybe it's an insurance analysis, because that's what's keeping them up at night. Maybe his property and casualty insurance is too low. Like, we gotta identify all this. We gotta look at your tax returns, make sure that there's good coordination with the CPA. Sometimes these plans can take 6 months to a year to get to completion. I mean, it's just the reality where I'm working with clients. Like, trying to explain, like, listen, this is a process and this is involvement from you, meaning I need to get everything. And if you don't give me a clean snapshot of everything, then that could delay things. But the sooner we can get eyes, documents, clear history, track record, then we can prioritize, then we can execute, start to check those items off the list. So when it's all said and done, it's not like, here's everything. When it's all done, you just hand me this packet. Now I know exactly what to do. It's no, we got to coordinate, because a lot of times signing the documents or actually executing it does need to have your involvement at some level.
Mm-hmm.
But it's really nice to be, at least from my standpoint, to be able to hold the hand, make sure there's guidance in there, because a plan is great, but a plan falls apart, or a goal is basically worthless if you don't have a plan of execution. So you could have the best financial plan, or estate plan for that matter, but if you don't take the actual steps to execute it with retitling assets or implementing the plan, there's kind of no point in it. So to go back to Bob's question, it's like, well, is it better if I go just one overall flat fee, or if I do this, if I'm paying it kind of as we go along? My question to that would be, well, how is that defined? Meaning if you just pay up front for that level of financial plan, you got to make sure that there's help with actually integrating that plan. But there's also something to be said of, hey, maybe after you get that plan done, there is a once a year, maybe twice a year check-in. Just say, hey, if something pops up, let's check in. Let's make sure everything's going along. Maybe there's some tax changes, which we're going to talk about later on the program. Those need to be identified and stay on top of. So
the flat rate plans can actually work really well if you go in and you're just getting confirmed on your current situation and it's working out. Then the flat rate's great. You just pay for the hourly or whatever it is, and you get the confirmation you're looking for, the peace of mind. But as you were just talking about it, it's also the same reason, because we work as fiduciaries, that it's more of a concierge type of a first year,
good way to
where
say
you're
it.
looking at anywhere from 4 to maybe 7 or 8 meetings. And I remember clients saying, well, how much is this going to be? And sometimes I'd look at the client going, oh, my gosh, there's going to be a lot of stuff that's going to come out. We're going to have long meetings. And then I would just be honest with them and say, well, our hourly rate is X. Let's just say it's $200 an hour. And I'm figuring we're going to have 6 meetings, and they're going to last an hour and a half each. And then we're going to do double that amount of time behind the scenes. But it's about the education. This is Real Money Pros.
As we age, managing our finances can become increasingly complex with ever-changing tax laws, estate planning, insurance needs, and investment environments. At Apollon Wealth Management, their goal is simple: to help enrich your life with personalized, expert financial advice. With a nationwide network of advisors, they're committed to delivering the best solutions for your financial future. It's time to take control and get the guidance you deserve. Connect with an advisor today by visiting The Real Money Pros. That's therealmoneypros.com.
Did you have a tax strategy going into this year to help maximize your tax savings? I'm Jeremiah Bates with Tree City Advisors of Apollon. We consider key factors like required minimum distributions, Social Security, net unrealized appreciation, 1031 exchanges, and more. Because a good advisor should help you with more than just investment selection. Visit us today at treecityadvisors.com or call us at 208-888-1244.
Advisory services offered through Apollon Wealth Management, LLC, DBA Tree City Advisors of Apollon, an investment advisor registered with the Securities and Exchange Commission.
As a financial advisor, I often see that many families I meet with end up paying way too much money in taxes. If a healthy family has an insurance plan with a low deductible but high annual premium, why wouldn't they look at a high deductible insurance plan instead? They could save on their premiums and put those saved dollars into a health savings account, also known as an HSA. It's the most powerful tax advantage account title available to us, so why not use it? Take advantage of pre-tax money that could be grown tax-free and then use tax-free for all of your qualified healthcare expenses. That's why you need Lively, our favorite, because it's simple, fast, and free. I use it, my colleagues use it, and I recommend it to all of my clients. Visit Lively right away. You can even roll over your existing HSA money into this new plan and start saving right away. I know you're going to love the entire experience. Visit livelyme.com/pro today. That's livelyme.com/PRO. Lively is a proud sponsor of the Real Money Pros.
If you have a small business, Staples has your sign.
Banners for my bakery?
Staples has your sign.
Oh, posters for my new pet store.
Floor decals for a pharmacy.
Every day, Staples associates help every kind of small business create bold signs to make big impressions. And now get $10 off custom signs, banners, and posters when you spend $50 or more. This is your sign, so print it big at Staples. Ends 5/28. Visit staplesconnect.com/thisisyoursign for details.
Imagine financial advice without a sales pitch to buy something, and imagine a long-term financial plan focused on your goals, not somebody else's, and the day that you can leave your broker because you know how to do things on your own. At Tree City Advisors, we do things a bit differently than our peers. First, we help you define your purpose for investing. We help you clean up messes or complicated financial issues from your past. We help you organize all your financial pieces into something manageable. We're a fiduciary-only firm, and we design simple strategies. And we teach you how it all works without clutter, confusion, or high cost. We can either do your investments for you or we can teach you how to do them on your own. In the end, we empower you with knowledge, lower fees, and confidence. Welcome to Tree City Advisors. This is the way we think if financial advisors should work for their clients. At Tree City Advisors, we provide flat fee planning and training. We also offer full service asset management, and we employ do-it-yourself technologies. There's never a fee for an initial meeting or review, so let's get started. Learn more at treecityadvisors.com. Tree City Advisors is an SEC registered investment advisor.
Listening to the Real Money Pros.
We are back. This is the Real Money Pros. Go to therealmoneypros.com. It's a sponsor-supported program. Jeremiah is not trying to sell you much. Like, are you selling anything? You have a bicycle or anything? You're selling a sofa? You're not selling anything. We're just giving you good advice. Phone lines are open, 979-59-MONEY. It's a live program. Iran is under attack by the United States and Israel. What are your thoughts about that? We had Bob call the program in the first 15 minutes of the program and tell us about a 1099 that he had received a little bit late. What are your questions? When Jeremiah was talking about the financial planning, now, I have to admit, for 25 years of broadcasting, I have always said that, yeah, people can do a flat rate plan, but I do know that it does not actually fit most people. But if it's what it takes to get them in the door to see if that's the candidate, that's fine. Come on in and we'll take a look at it. But when Jeremiah was talking about that discovery meeting is so much more than just about the numbers. Like, you think we're going to ask you about the numbers, like, hey, what do you owe on your house? What do you think your home's worth? And things like that. I'm actually watching demeanor. I'm seeing how quickly they know the answers to things, because then that helps me understand how involved they are in seeing statements. Like, for example, if I said, how much do you owe on your house? I don't know, it's around 200,000 or so. And I look at the statements and just do the 160 or it's 240. And I would say that person rarely looks. And that's probably going to be the case with a lot of other things. Bank statements, things that maybe they just kind of glazed over. For example, beneficiaries. Like, a lot of people will say, oh, yeah, I remember I was supposed to do that. And then you don't want to do it when it's too late. Maybe you've had a divorce, or maybe somebody has already passed away, or you've had a new birth. You've got to change things and keep things up to date. What I've noticed that during those discovery meetings is I'm usually capable of then telling the people whether or not I think it's going to be their best route. However, I've always said, well, then I'll just guarantee it, meaning from our firm, like, we'll do the financial planning, and if it's not working for you, we'll just convert that over into the fee for the assets under management. Now, the assets under management fee, if you imagine this, if you're going to charge, give me an example of a financial planning fee, realistic, full, let's just say what you made up about Bob. $2,500?
Well,
$3,000.
Well, I was adding some stuff in there, so let's go $3,500. Just
$3,500. Okay. Now let's say that instead Bob had $1 million to manage and you'd priced it at 1%, so $10,000 a year. as a fiduciary financial advisor, to manage his account with discretion, meaning you're making choices inside that, you have to know your client and you have to be acting in their best interest, knowing all the things that you know about them and the industry and investing and all the objectives, taxes, estate planning, meaning you've done a thorough investigation, which means you've actually done the planning. So we've had people who have asked, can we come on and then if we don't like this, go switch back to a flat fee. And I said, well, yeah, but we're going to gross it up to be the amount that it's cost us, because we're going to have 15, 16 office hours into this. And, we pay rent and we've got employees and we pay taxes and these things too. And we're going to get the work done. But nobody wants to come out to the point where they're negative. So I've also just said it to the clients. I need to bill you more money. You're taking too much time.
Well, and it's also,
and they've done it.
Well, and it's also too, just the whole dynamic of what service you're actually offering. Again, it is kind of ambiguous to an extent, but I can give you a tangible number, meaning of a client that I just met with this past week. No, yeah, it was actually this past week. So they have their 2 sons going to private school, and we are in a state where you can use a state-ran 529, meaning the money that you contribute into the 529 at the state level gives you a state income tax deduction. Kids are 12, meaning they've missed at least 8 years of this, and you compound that over those 8 years, meaning even if we charged them a $3,500 planning fee, if we would have met with them those 8 years ago, meaning the tax savings on its own would have well more than paid for that planning, and likely maybe some asset management too. So again, even though it's not like you're going and buying, like you're at the grocery store and you're paying someone to fix your car or mow your lawn or take down the trees in your backyard where you can actually see it when it was done, sometimes it takes like a year and a half until that tax filing's actually done to say, hey, remember that strategy that we said that we're going to do and execute in calendar year 2026? Yeah, you're really not going to see the benefit of that until you actually file your taxes come March, April of 2027. Oh, by the way, these Roth conversions that we're highly we're looking at your lifetime taxes. We're really not going to see the main benefit of that until maybe 10, 15 years down the line. So it's just an interesting dynamic to the business that we're in, this profession of a lot of times those strategies and what we're suggesting and executing, that net benefit isn't recognized until further down the line.
Yep. We're going to have Stephanie Helms joining us here in the next hour. She is a CPA. She's doing business as a CPA, and she can answer your tax questions as a CPA. But it's actually one of the most common things that we answer when we sit in those meetings. So the discovery meeting usually exposes a lot of information about tax inefficiencies. So this is something that I think that every person should sit down with their tax professional or their financial advisor and just do a full review of everything to make sure that you are likely taking advantage of all the different tax breaks or whatever it is that you may be missing or you may be getting, but be aware of them. And usually that'll come out in that. Now, the interesting thing about this, we've talked about this, like obviously the first phone call comes in, you can't bill anybody for that. They come in for the discovery meeting. We're not billing them for that because we don't even know if we can do business with them. We're evaluating them just as they're evaluating us. It's a get to know each other thing. You're going to disclose a lot of personal information. That's when you're going to ask some questions about the company. And let's put it on the other side. Let's just say you're the person now sitting in the seat across from the financial advisor, Jeremiah. What kind of questions do you think that they should be asking the financial advisor about qualifications, how they work, how they get paid, things like that?
Yeah, what kind of clientele that you work with? Like, what is your experience? I don't put as much merit, though, however, on this experience thing because I've run into a lot of examples in my career where you could argue that the person that I'm going to say up against, because they were just straight up giving wrong information. They were doing a bad job, but they've been in the industry for 20 years. I'm like, great, you've been doing a bad job for 20 years probably then, right? Like I don't really care what your experience is. I really care about, one thing that I lean on is referrals. It's confirmation, like meaning referrals from your clients. It's confirmation that you are doing the right thing. in my opinion, because if you weren't, they're not going to recommend that their friends, their loved ones, their family come and see you, right? But I think good questions, to answer your question directly, Brian, is what type of clientele do you work with? Like, what are the things that you see most common? What are the mistakes that you see a lot of people make, and what is your approach to fix that? How do you act in good? Like, I think getting some idea and understanding, even if you are educated in the space or not, but asking, how do you educate me along the way? Like, meaning these strategies that I don't understand, how do you bring me up to speed on these, just so I'm not left in the dust or completely confused? How do things work if I need to call you or an emergency pot, like meaning just actual logistics, how are those things are handled? I think those are extremely important. But I think a big question, like obviously the fee question too, is big. Ask them, okay, how do you get paid? That is
exactly how much.
That is a question that should not be. There should be no hesitation to ask that, right? And then also the next question would be, in my opinion, like we work as a team office here. So and we try to, the best of our ability, have two advisors in on that initial meeting and meetings past that. But the one thing you want to make sure is that if the advisor that you're engaging with, and I had my aha moment when a couple years ago I got pneumonia and ended up in the ER and I was down and out for like a week and a half. I'm like, we were already doing that. It just was like that confirmation of how important it is if me as the advisor, if I have an early unexpected passing or some type of event that doesn't allow me to be in the office and be engaged, that you as the client understand that there's a whole team, there's a whole ecosystem behind your advisor that keeps your plan going, meaning they understand it, they know what you're trying to achieve. So if the advisor you're working with is for whatever reason out of commission, that their team can pick up the ball to make sure that you're not left sitting in the back seat. So I think that's important too. Like, understand the whole setup of that firm. What is the team? What is the contingency plan? Those are important questions to ask.
Read the contract as well. So the financial planning agreement is going to include a lot of details about the scope of business that's going to be accommodated for the client, but how they calculate what they're going to pay. It needs to be in there, how they're going to bill, how often, the whole bit. When a person is actually going to be compensated by selling you products, that's when it can get a little bit nebulous when they start saying, when you ask how exactly are you paid. So I've heard this so many times. Oh, no, the insurance company pays me or the mutual fund company pays me. You don't need to worry about a thing. I think that you should follow that up with, okay, that's fine. Exactly how much does the insurance company pay you if you do business with me, assuming that you were successful selling me X policy? Because then you can understand the motivation of that person, because now there's a conflict in the advice. The advice is now conflicted by if it's successful and you were to buy their recommendation that they would also receive a commission for it. I don't like that conflict, but it does exist. You ask the questions and it should be fine. It really should be. I remember when I was a young advisor, I would get so nervous when they would ask that question because the commissions, well, they were ungodly. We'll be right back. Businesses today face a barrage of challenges. They hunt for top talent, the search for the right benefits package, and the ever-rising tide of healthcare rates. And putting together the right team to run your HR-related tasks can be expensive, let alone time-consuming. Enter Ataraxis PEO, your professional employer organization ready to tackle all your HR needs, from payroll to benefits administration, payroll services, workers' compensation, and talent recruiting. They've got you covered. With Ataraxis, you gain access to a team of experts who handle the nitty-gritty of HR, freeing you up to focus on what you do best, growing your business and growing your revenue. Ataraxis takes the time to learn about your business, crafting personalized solutions to help you and your team succeed. So say goodbye to the stress of HR administration and hello to Ataraxis. Experience the power of a true business partner with Ataraxis PEO. Visit ataraxispeo.com. That's ATARAXISPEO.com. Ataraxis, elevating businesses for the benefit of all.
I know you've been waiting a little bit longer than normal.
Jen's manicure spot needs an extra pair of hands.
Who's at the front desk right now?
Someone who's handy with everything from nail files to spreadsheet files.
Deirdre's not coming in today, but we have that whole bachelorette party.
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Instant Match instantly connects you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your sponsored job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
As a financial advisor, I often see that many families I meet with end up paying way too much money in taxes. If a healthy family has an insurance plan with a low deductible but high annual premium, why wouldn't they look at a high deductible insurance plan instead? They could save on their premiums and put those saved dollars into a health savings account, also known as an HSA. It's the most powerful tax advantage account title available to us, so why not use it? Take advantage of pre-tax money that could be grown tax-free and then used tax-free for all of your qualified healthcare expenses. That's why you need Lively, our favorite because it's simple, fast, and free. I use it, my colleagues use it, and I recommend it to all of my clients. Visit Lively right away. You can even roll over your existing HSA money into this new plan and start saving right away. I know you're going to love the entire experience. Visit livelyme.com/pro today. That's livelyme.com/PRO. Lively is a proud sponsor of the Real Money Pros.
And we're back to the Real Money Pros.
We are back. This is the Real Money Pros, therealmoneypros.com. That's how you can find us. Sign up for the newsletter. Please watch the videos. We've got so many educational videos on our website. If you're trying to figure out what crypto digital assets are or how is an IRA different from a Roth IRA, well, you can find all of that on therealmoneypros.com. Follow us on YouTube. You can watch a live broadcast of the program as well. Jeremiah's here. I'm Brian Wiley. And the phone lines are open at 979-59-MONEY. Meanwhile, Israel and the United States are bombing Iran, and there's a lot of stuff going on. A lot of also, I would say that there's going to be a lot of people that get real unsure about it, and just this uncertainty is what can cause volatility in the markets. And when I look back to the Great Recession, for example, Jeremiah, back in 2007 through 2009, the number of bank closures that were happening, well, they all happened on Friday afternoons. And depending on the size of the bank, really it affected the markets. And I was broadcasting back then. We used to talk to a lot of people that were trading the markets as well. And I'd say it, which is, man, seems to me that you ought to sell out Thursday afternoon, not be in the markets on Friday, and then go back in on Monday because you know what you've got. And that could be the case here. It was during the first Trump administration. I remember having the same comment saying, boy, it's every time we go into weekends, it's almost like they want to see how it shakes out over the next 2 days before the Monday market opens. Because is the stock market even that important to President Trump? And my feel on this one is, yeah. It's a campaign talking point. He wants to see success in the markets. He doesn't like to see big adjustments in the market that he didn't control. I think when he controls them, he just loves them because he also knows that the final outcome is going to end up being up. But in every case, and you sent a graphic over during the break to me, Jeremiah, and it was, what is there, like 50 different events on that list?
Yeah, it's a long list. Essentially, it's just a snapshot of looking at the S&P 500 and how did it perform after major historical events and geopolitical events. I mean, it goes back. It starts off with Germany invading France, May 10th, 1940. And then it goes down to the most recent of U.S. removes Maduro in Venezuela, January 3rd, 2026. And it gives, what was the S&P 500 index return in that 1 month following, 3 months following, 6 months following, 12 months following. And it's just really interesting that you would look at a few of these and you'd be like, holy smokes, like you should see a lot more red on the board, but historically speaking, and these figures really prove the point that these are generally short-term in nature. Now, not to say that there's certain sectors or certain categories that may have taken the grunt more so than others. I mean, even if you look at the price of oil, which I think if we're going to look at, again, we have today, we have Sunday. We'll see how things open on Monday. But assuming there's not some big resolution, and we're likely going to see a volatile week, we'll probably likely see a volatile response. I don't think that's going to catch anyone off guard. I think that people are probably anticipating that. But I'm curious to see what happens to the price of oil. But if you even look back to when Russia invaded Ukraine, I mean, yeah, oil jumped up. It was over $100 a barrel, and it was hanging there for a pretty decent amount of time. And then you had inflation hitting over 9%, right? But now you look at where the price of oil is now. I think it's sub 70, still sub $70 if you're depending if you're looking at WTI or Brent, right? But overall, my takeaway on that is just, yeah, these events happen. Like you know that's always a risk. And it'll provide disruption. It'll cause some volatility, and that volatility all goes back to that's how you get gains. That's how you build wealth and achieve wealth. The question is, does that volatility? How do you handle that volatility? How do you apply it to how you are managing your plan, if you are? And if this is going to derail your strategy, meaning if you had a tangible financial target that is right on the horizon and we see a significant market drop this week, not calling for it, but it could happen, and that could happen any week for that matter, does that market drop make you lose sleep? Does that market drop make you unable to hit those financial goals? If that is in your gut right now, highly recommend reevaluating things, because even then we're not too far off all-time market highs. I mean, we're about 2% off of the S&P 500, maybe a little bit more after this past week, but I mean, we're not too far off all-time market highs with the S&P 500. So again, making sure your investments and your allocation, or whatever jargony term I can pull out of my financial advisor hat, making sure that it's serving you for your specific purpose. Like, your money should not be a source of stress, loss of sleep, anxiety. If it is, a recalibration or a conversation needs to be had, in my opinion.
And I'm looking at this list, and there's one event that I could say seems comparable. It's the oil embargo of 1973. So, and then the Yom Kippur War, which happened at the same year. So this is all instability in the Middle East, which you know how that all worked out, which the oil embargoes then caused the gas crisis. And then there was talk about even changing how cars operated, efficiencies, meaning things started to change. It did end up strengthening the United States, and then we went back and started to drill, baby, drill. We have more oil online now, and the whole idea here was to get our independence back from the Middle East. So I'm curious if this will affect it as much. I'm going to guess it won't, even oil prices as well. It just depends on how widespread that war gets in and around Iran. Iran shooting missiles at Saudi Arabia doesn't seem like such a great idea. I don't know why they want them coming in on all sides of their borders to then see a regime change. Now, whether or not this is right, it's a whole different question. That's a question for the political talk programs you can hear during the week, and I think that's where I'd like to listen to it as well. But here, we're talking about what are the effects? Like, will this cause a short-time problem with your ability to handle your monthly budget because of gas prices? And my feel on this one is, from what I understand and what I know about the way that oil is being handled, and remember, we did just kind of take over Venezuela too, with a few billion barrels available.
Interesting timing on that.
Very interesting timing on that. Indeed. And but point is that it may not affect much. And the United States economy, it seems to be the first one that will climb back out anyway, if there is much of it. So my feel on this one is I wouldn't be trading into any of this. When you were talking about, if this is going to affect you, that means you've got a liquidity problem. You've got a liquidity problem because you've got something invested that you see the need for having those funds soon, which means it shouldn't be invested anyway. And whether you had losses or you were trying to think, well, I'm going to listen to the Real Money Pros, and they said it'll probably come back right away, so I'm just going to hang on, and maybe I'll just sell it on Thursday instead after the recovery. And now you're just doing it twice. You're breaking the rules, and it's not going to work out. That adjustment to the strategy is what also fails people when they think that they can do flat rate planning, because well, they told me that I have a liquidity problem and I shouldn't be worried about this whole war thing in Iran. So they're telling me to go in there on Monday, but then I hear them out of the side of their mouth also saying that the market recovers. So I'm going to hang in there until Thursday. That person will manipulate the financial plan the entire way through, and that strategy will in fact be blown. That's what I try to pick up in those discovery meetings. That I'm trying to figure out, how emotional does this person get? And it's okay. Like, I'm an emotional person. I wouldn't trust myself with it if it was like that, if it was my own money and I was in a liquidity issue where I had things so closely connected to the markets when I needed the money. It's just a mistake. It's just a mistake. And it can be remedied. I think a lot of people think, well, it's too late for me. I don't have enough, or there's no way I'm going to catch up to this, or there's no other ideas on how to handle long-term care, whatever it is. Just go sit down and have a conversation with somebody. There's one of the things that I'll take some pride in, Jeremiah, is that because we had been doing radio for so long, and I had had so many interviews like we're going to have in the next hour with Stephanie Helms, CPA, I've been able to listen to CPAs and estate planning attorneys and civil law attorneys, for all that matters, real estate and mortgages. And I've heard these experts over the years where I can sit down inside these discovery meetings and identify something that needs to be discussed further, even if I don't know the answers to it immediately. Just, I had a conversation with somebody and just reminds me, and I think we need to take a deeper look into that. When Jeremiah was talking about the experience, yeah, you could have years and years worth of experience in this industry. You could be 30 years into the business and still act like you're a freshman. Yeah. The designations people receive sometimes is just a way to keep them busy while they didn't have clients. Clients get you the experience. That's my feel on it. What are your thoughts? This is The Real Money Pros, therealmoneypros.com. Call the program 979-59-MONEY. Our program is not done yet. We've got another hour, and we'll be back.
The Real Money Pros is hosted by Brian Wiley and other team members of Tree City Advisors of Apollon. Tree City Advisors of Apollon is a DBA of Apollon Wealth Management, an SEC-registered investment advisor and affiliate of the Real Money Pros. The Real Money Pros and Tree City of Apollon are not affiliated with any of the companies or non-advisor professionals participating on this program. Ataraxis PEO and Apollon Wealth Management are financial sponsors of the Real Money Pros. Additionally, Apollon receives advisory fees for these sponsors and or their representatives for investment advice. Log into therealmoneypros.com to contact the host for advice, show archives, educational material, and more. This program is brought to you by the quality sponsors heard within this broadcast.
Businesses today face a barrage of challenges. They hunt for top talent, the search for the right benefits package, and the ever-rising tide of healthcare rates. Ataraxis takes the time to learn about your business, crafting personalized solutions to help you and your team succeed. Ataraxis partners with businesses of all sizes and industries. Their mission? To reduce the stress and risk that comes with business owners trying to do it themselves. Visit ataraxispeo.com. Ataraxis, elevating businesses for the benefit of all. Apollon Wealth Management has helped me and my team change the way we conduct our advisory business. The result? We believe we are better equipped to provide the highest level of quality financial planning, investment management, and comprehensive financial advice than ever before. Apollon has been instrumental in our efforts to assist clients in achieving their distinctive financial objectives. If you're an advisor seeking to improve your client experience or an investor seeking to elevate your wealth management to a higher personal standard, contact us at The Real Money Pros. That's therealmoneypros.com. Imagine financial advice without a sales pitch to buy something. Imagine a long-term financial plan focused on your goals, not your investment professionals. At Tree City Advisors, we do things a bit differently than our peers. First, we help you define your purpose for investing. We help you clean up messes and complicated financial issues from your past, empowering you with knowledge, lower fees, and confidence. We design simple, effective investment strategies, and we teach you how it can all work without clutter, confusion, or high costs. Welcome to Tree City Advisors of Apollon. This is the way we think of financial advisors should work for their clients. At Tree City Advisors of Apollon, we provide flat fee financial planning and training. We also offer full service asset-based investment management, and we employ do-it-yourself technologies. Visit treecityadvisors.com. There's never a fee for an initial meeting or review, so let's get started. Learn more at treecityadvisors.com. Advisory services offered through Apollon Wealth Management, LLC, DBA Tree City Advisors of Apollon, an investment advisor registered with the Securities and Exchange Commission.
market to buy a house or just looking to refinance your current mortgage? For helping individuals and families achieve affordable homeownership, Academy Mortgage is a first choice. And when finding that perfect loan for the perfect home, you need a company that will treat you like family, not just another file. To help you navigate through today's ever-changing housing market, Academy Mortgage has zero down options available to you. That includes zero down with no mortgage insurance. We also offer medical professional loans and 2-1 rate buy-downs that help lower your monthly payment for the first several years of your loan. Origination, processing, underwriting, and closing and funding will all happen in-house. With over 34 years in the business, we know that buying a home is more than just a house. That's why it's important we protect our customers and safeguard their financial wellness for years to come. Visit us online at academymortgage.com today to start your journey to homeownership with Academy Mortgage. That's academymortgage.com. Academy Mortgage, your first choice home loan lender.
Academy Mortgage Corporation, NMLS 3113, is an equal housing lender.
To offer valuable advice and earn clients' trust as an advisor, it's essential to always put their interests ahead of personal gain or the preferences of any particular company. Advisor Insurance Solutions is dedicated to delivering insurance solutions from an advisory perspective. They provide objective and unbiased insurance planning, making it an integral part of their comprehensive advisory process. If you're looking for insurance guidance that aligns with your financial goals, visit therealmoneypros.com. That's therealmoneypros.com.
Nobody protects you from mayhem like Allstate. I'm a speed bump. Did you hear what I said? I'm a speed bump. And if you have cut-rate car insurance, the cost to reattach your muffler could really be a bump in the road. So switch to Allstate, save money, and be better protected from mayhem, like me.
Based on coverage and limits selected, subject to terms, conditions, and availability. In most states, prices vary based on how you buy. Allstate Bar and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
Running out of gift ideas for your loved one? Send flowers with Flower Fix. And need to create joy in your living or workspace? With many working from home these days, create joy in your space with flowers. Flower Fix is a subscription-based flower delivery service perfect for birthdays, anniversaries, or any special occasion. We offer 2 subscription options to choose from, a text-based subscription or a traditional one. Enjoy these big, beautiful hand-designed bouquets that are delivered straight from our flower fields to your door. Log on now, www.flowerfix.com, to choose your flowers today. Have control over when you want flowers delivered. Weekly, bi-weekly, monthly? Get your flower fix at flowerfix.com. Use code FlowerFixPro to receive 20% off your first order. flowerfix.com.
I know you've been waiting a little bit longer than normal.
Jen's manicure spot needs an extra pair of hands.
Who's at the front desk right now?
Someone who's handy with everything from nail files to spreadsheet files.
Deirdre's not coming in today, but we have that whole bachelorette party.
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Instant Match instantly connects you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your sponsored job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Healthcare expenses can be a burden, so why not make the most out of the money that we'd spend anyway? Take advantage of the most powerful tax advantage account title available to us, a health savings account, also known as an HSA. That's why you need Lively. Visit Lively right away. Open your HSA, roll other HSA money into that new plan, and then start saving. I know you're going to love the entire experience. Visit livelyme.com/pro today. That's livelyme.com/PRO.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Gallegos with Price for Life. Do you have a life insurance policy that you'd like to sell? If you don't need the coverage anymore or would rather not keep making the premium payments, visit our website, priceforlife.com. Don't let your policy lapse when you can potentially get a cash payment for it. There are several reasons why a life settlement might be a great value to you. Perhaps your policy is too expensive, or you feel you no longer need the death benefit, or you may think you need to wait until death before your family can get the money from the insurance company. This is why you may want to consider a life settlement. Price for Life has excellent resources available along with a free evaluation process to help you understand the value of your policy and the options available to you. Price for Life's clients have received hundreds of thousands of dollars for their policy when they would have otherwise just let it lapse by stopping the premium payments. Get the compensation you deserve. Visit priceforlife.com today and fill out the case evaluation form to see if your policy qualifies. That's price, the number 4, life.com. priceforlife.com.
Money Pros is brought to you by The Real Money Pros and the sponsors heard within this broadcast. Material presented on this program may not be suitable for you. Consult a registered investment advisor when evaluating any particular investment, security, or investment strategy. The views, opinions, or advice offered by the hosts and guests do not necessarily reflect those of this station. Brian Wiley and Jeremiah Bates are investment advisor representatives with Apollon Wealth Management, an SEC registered investment advisor. The Real Money Pros with Brian Wiley and Jeremiah Bates, the weekend's smartest money show. Investing, taxes, legal topics, insurance, and every other confusing money topic made simple.
We are back. This is The Real Money Pros. Jeremiah Bates joined with Brian Wiley. We are fiduciary financial advisors here for you, and we're live, which means you can interact with us. The phone lines are going to be booked up for, well, as long as they need to be, because we're going to cover a confusing topic. You know, I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed, and I try to really, I try to not be confused on things, but there's a couple things that trip me up.
Oh, man.
And as much as I like to be well versed in the tax arena, inevitably that whole world around accounting and this and that, it can get confusing. However, what a lot of people are coming to find, and you see that taxes are generally one of the biggest expenses or biggest costs that you will run up into your entire life. So understanding these, how you can use the tax code in your favor, how you can be strategic and not pay more in taxes is extremely important. Also, understanding how do these changes affect you? There's been some recent changes with legislation, the big, beautiful bill. How is that going to affect you? The no tax on tips. How is your state handling the big, beautiful bill? And are they adopting that? All of these things are important to cover, and that's why we have Stephanie Helms, CPA, here to join us today. Stephanie, we certainly appreciate you taking time out of your Saturday. I know this is a busy season for you, but Brian and I, when we were talking with you earlier in the week, we were quickly realizing that there's some changes that are affecting tax filing as we are in tax filing time, and we asked you, hey, can we have this conversation on the radio? You graciously accepted, so thank you again for your time.
No problem. Glad to be with you again today.
So, Stephanie, part of the State of the Union address was President Trump talking about the big changes, the no taxes on tips and the no taxes on overtime pay. And it's so simplistic. I remember having we had an Idaho state congressman on the program. He was talking, that was Russ Fulcher, talking about how the big, beautiful bill and passing that was a great thing for Americans. But we were just starting to learn about the time it takes to actually fill out the forms to get those type of tax breaks, let alone even having access to those forms now, apparently, right? Is it truly as simple as President Trump had said, that there's just no tax on overtime, there's just no tax on tips or Social Security for the matter?
So as a generality, that is true, but the actual application is much more complex than that. So each of the items all have limitations, they have caveats, so nothing is simple on this. So there is tax on overtime, but not the half time. And that means if you say you make $20 an hour and you get an extra 10 for overtime, only the 10 is subject to this law, and only if you make below a certain income limitation. So it's not as simple. What he said is true as a generality, but it's not as simple as that.
I don't even see how that's true on the generalities, simply because now you're saying it's not truly overtime pay. The 100% of the overtime pay that was received is not truly tax-free, right?
That's right. Only the half time. So when you get time and a half, only the half time is subject to this new law.
Well, then we have to add to that the complexities of actually getting reimbursed for taxes that may have been withheld out of your paycheck, which is kind of the process here for the overtime pay, right?
Right. So the tax tables aren't changing when you get that half time off. So it'll be a deduction, and if you've been properly withholding on the whole amount, then you should probably get a refund for that.
Stephanie Helms joining us here on the program. It's The Real Money Pros, therealmoneypros.com. And if you would like to ask her a question, taxes would be the most appropriate, please. 979-59-MONEY. That's 979-596-6639. So, Stephanie, let's move that on to the other side of it, which is on tips. How is that actually calculated? And then if tips were left as, let's say you go in with a large table, there's 10 of you, and they do the automatic gratuity, is that also not taxed?
Well, not really. It's going to be interesting how they apply it, because what the law says is that the tips have to be voluntary. So the discussion has now come about mandatory tips, and technically by the law, that is still taxable. So only tips that are voluntarily given are supposed to be deducted. But now all of these things are quite complex to be able to actually do that they put in the legislation. So I'm not sure how the restaurants are going to handle if you get a large table and then nobody wants to wait on that table because they're not going to get the deductibility of the tips.
I could see that. I doubt that's going to happen, but yes, I could see that maybe to some degree, certainly. And then on Social Security, there's some guardrails on that one too, right? You've got to fit between the guardrails to get that Social Security tax removed.
Right. So rather than saying that Social Security wasn't taxed, you'll still have the same computation, which is up to 85% tax. But there is a new thing called a senior deduction for 65 and older, and you can get it for both spouses. So that could be up to $12,000 on a return, and that reduces your overall tax. But they are not specifically not making Social Security not taxable.
But that's not a credit. That's it's a treatment of the deduction, right?
It's a deduction. That's correct. So you can get a $6,000 deduction or a $12,000, but again, if you make over the income limits, you don't get it either. So every single one of these is all income limited.
So it sounds like the federal government and the IRS has somewhat worked it out, and it's on the tax forms, and you can actually file your taxes. What if you live in a state that also has an income tax and requires a state tax return that has not completed, I guess, the software update to be able to handle these new rules? And is that common?
Yeah. So what's happening is that's called conformity. So after the federal government passed this back in July 4th of 25, each state has different laws of whether they're going to accept these changes or not. And so there's actually 4 different statuses that each state can be in. The first one is called rolling conformity, and that's in 20 states and DC. And that means they automatically accept everything. And then the state legislature can come back and say, hold it, I don't want this one item. So those are automatically called the rolling conformity states. Then there's another 17 states called the static conformity, which means that they have to vote on it. So they keep the law as it was until they vote on it. And here in Idaho, they did not vote on it and decide on it till February 10th. So we are in quite a mess here because the law, they accepted certain things, they rejected certain things, and now they have filed returns and their software is not ready, and neither is the tax software. So they're asking people to hold off to file so they can get their software updated.
What happens if you've already filed?
So if you've already filed only on increasing standard deductions, are they automatically going to reprocess it? And by the way, they're holding on everyone that might have this issue with their refund. So your refund is being held until they figure this out. But on all the rest of it, they're saying they don't know yet. So don't file. If you've already filed, you may have to file an amended return. They haven't figured it out. There are a handful of states that are still fighting over what the law is going to be. And so they don't know what the law is going to be in their state. And then there's 4 states, including California, that are called selective conformity, and they generally reject whatever the new law is, and then they decide what they want to do. And California is generally running on the law as it was in 2015. So they're not accepting most things that are changes. And then we have 9 states that don't have state income tax, so they're not impacted. So it's really a mess out there.
It sounds like it. So California, is it New York, Illinois, Colorado, and Maine? That's 5.
So the 4 states that are selective conformity are Arkansas, California, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania.
I got most of them wrong. That's all right. But nonetheless,
it's okay.
Yeah.
It's just a total mess. But what you have to consider is on the state side, they're trying to figure out.
We got to take a quick break.
Budget.
We're going to run late, so sorry to talk on you right there. This is Real Money Pros. Make this year that you work smarter, not harder, with Ataraxis. As your strategic partner, Ataraxis becomes an extension of your business, taking the burden of HR, payroll, benefits, workers' compensation, compliance, and staffing off your plate. You'll have more time to focus on operating and growing your business. Let Ataraxis handle the details so you can focus on what matters most. Learn more at ataraxis.com. That's ATARAXIS.com.
As we age, managing our finances can become increasingly complex with ever-changing tax laws, estate planning, insurance needs, and investment environments. At Apollon Wealth Management, their goal is simple: to help enrich your life with personalized, expert financial advice. With a nationwide network of advisors, they're committed to delivering the best solutions for your financial future. It's time to take control and get the guidance you deserve. Connect with an advisor today by visiting The Real Money Pros. That's therealmoneypros.com.
Looking to make your dream of home ownership a reality? Look no further than Academy Mortgage, your first choice home loan lender. Academy strives to offer the best rates and terms tailored to your financial situation. At Academy Mortgage, you'll be treated like family, not just another file. Navigating today's ever-changing housing market can be challenging, but their team is here to help. Experience the zero-down options, including loans with no mortgage insurance. They also provide specialized medical professional loans and unique 2-to-1 rate buydowns that reduce your monthly payment for the first initial years of your loan. And forget about dealing with brokers and middlemen. With Academy Mortgage, everything happens in-house, from origination to funding. Say goodbye to hassles and surprises. Begin your home ownership journey today by visiting them online at academymortgage.com. That's academymortgage.com.
Academy Mortgage Corporation, NMLS 3113, is an equal housing lender.
Academy Mortgage, your first choice home loan lender.
This open enrollment, start making meaningful progress towards your long-term financial goals. Did you know that a health savings account, or HSA, is the most tax-advantaged account in the U.S.? Contributions are tax deductible, which reduces your total taxable income. Withdrawals for eligible health expenses are also tax-free. And last, capital gains on investments are also tax-free. Did we also mention that it's free for individuals? Visit livelymee.com/pro today. That's livelymee.com/pro.
Back to the Real Money Pros.
And we're back. This is The Real Money Pros. Visit therealmoneypros.com. It's where you can get access to our educational content. You can interact with the program. Take our Better Buckets assessment. Obviously, we're talking taxes right now with Stephanie Helms, CPA, with Stewart and Associates. So, Stephanie, we certainly appreciate you being here. But when we're talking about the Better Buckets assessment, it kind of goes along the conversation that we were having with the Iran-U.S.-Israel conflict, and expect some volatility. But how can you make sure that you have a foundation with how you're managing all your resources to take advantage of growth, but also make sure that you are not subjecting yourself to a liquidity constraint, especially if we see some turbulence in the market. So again, therealmoneypros.com. If you want to interact with us, please call the program. Phone lines are open 979-59-MONEY. That is 979-596-6639.
Stephanie Helms joining us here on the phone. So thank you for calling the program and spending your time with us and our listeners who may have questions. They can call the program again at 979-59-MONEY or just message us a question. We'll get it to you, and if it's after the program, we'll still get an answer for you. Now, just kind of anecdotally here, Stephanie, we had a caller in the last hour say that he was sent a late 1099 from his bank showing some interest earned on his part. He was asking if he should amend his return, and of course we had said, you need to amend your return because that's reported income. But the problem is that he didn't receive it, it sounds like, until like in the last week or so. Wasn't the deadline already passed, and should he just ask the bank that sent it to help him cover the cost of the amended return?
Well, we get this quite often, especially, though, with brokerage statements. So they were supposed to mail those out by January 31st. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, it's a problem when we get these late, but we generally assume on brokerages we monitor specific accounts, and they're typically always late every year. So we hold on filing until we get the extra returns. But for the late 1099, it'll probably cost them a couple $100 to amend the return. An alternative would be to allow the IRS and the state to amend it for you, and they'll send you a bill. So if you don't amend, they compare it, and they'll reprocess it and send you a bill for the extra. So if it's a minor amount, they will reprocess it if it's, within their limitations that it's worth it.
I hope that Bob heard that, because we were leading him down the road that he had to go through the process of amending his return, and it sounds like he has somebody do it for him, so it's going to cost him money. But you just gave us a good alternative. That is under the assumption that that additional money added to your income doesn't change anything else on your tax return then, right?
Right. And so, so that's the key thing. If it was super minor, that would be the case. But if you're getting a very large change, I would definitely would want to do an amended return, because it could impact other things. But if you get a $20, interest, and then you're looking at $200 to amend, it's really about the amount of how much it is. If it's pretty minor, but if it's a pretty major item, I would absolutely amend, because many things are based off of the totals,
right,
and what's allowed.
Yeah, if you get that extra income, and if that's enough to move the needle, it's going to basically it's going to have an effect across basically every figure that you punched into your tax return. So an amendment would make a lot of sense. Carrying on this term that you used, interest, Stephanie, I want to ask you this, because I know this was brought up with President Trump and this new auto loan interest deduction that started in 2025. What exactly is that? And is this one of those things where the devil's in the details, when we talked about no tax on tips and no tax on overtime, where it sounds better than kind of when we actually got the rules on it? It sounded a lot better than it actually was. Is it similar with this new auto loan interest rate deduction? Is this something that people should pay attention to?
It's absolutely complex. Way in the details. There are so many caveats to this. We actually have to put the VIN number in and get it approved, that it is on the approved list, that it classifies. But in addition, some of the other items is it has to be the original loan. So if your loan gets rebought, it doesn't count. And, of course, it has income limitations as well. So every single one of these, there are more details than is, brought about in media and discussed, superficially. So I definitely, if I was buying one of those cars, I would definitely get, assurance from the dealership that it qualifies, and knowing if you have that loan, you can't, refinance the loan and still get the deduction.
Well, it also now makes the encouragement to finance the vehicle too. So that does provide that I guess encouragement. And you're right. I would put that on the dealer, and I would actually ask the finance company as well to make sure that it conforms. But how do you ask for a guarantee of that? Or it is confusing too, by the way, because President Trump did say that now you buy an American vehicle and you finance it, you will get the deduction on the interest. Now, the interest can probably be pretty significant. I'm going to guess on the price of vehicles now, it's $70,000, $80,000. I'm going to guess it's pretty significant to some people, but it's the qualifiers that I'm not really understanding. And what constitutes a vehicle fully made in the United States? Is it there like an 80% rule?
There is a rule there about how much is actually, put to the pieces, the components of it that are put together, and then they approve of it. And that's why it's so complex that you really have to verify with your dealership if that specific vehicle is compliant with the new tax law. And I'm sure online there's probably Google searches that list exact vehicles, because they do have to be, a certain percentage of the parts, and also putting it together has to be in the U.S. to qualify. And I didn't know it, but did you know that the beginning of the VIN numbers has to do with the source location? So if the first couple of codes is certain codes, like it says like that's Japan, then you automatically know it's out. So it has to have the VIN number indicates at the beginning where that vehicle is from, where it was.
I'm seeing that now. It says starting with 1, 4, or 5. So the first thing you look at.
So if your VIN doesn't start with that, you're out.
I guess so.
This new law. But yeah, so I didn't know that about VIN numbers, but so it has to comply with a long list of requirements. This all goes back on trying to get more manufacturing in the United States. So the overall idea is that if they put this law into place, you're going to get the interest deduction, but moreover, they're trying to get more vehicles in the United States and improve manufacturing in the United States is the real underlying purpose.
It's negating the source of the parts, though, from what I can understand. It's just saying if it's assembled in the United States, then it qualifies as being American-made, and I'm going to guess that is not even accurate there. There's probably a lot left to question about it. Stephanie Helms, you're awesome. Thank you so much. I mean, you do my taxes.
No problem.
Sorry about that. Well, we're glad you are here helping, and we appreciate that. And we'll let the listeners know that if they want to contact you, to go to therealmoneypros.com. Thanks for spending part of your Saturday with us. Now you got to go back to doing taxes. Jeremiah and I are going to get back to answering phone calls, 979-59-MONEY. We'll be right back.
Apollon Wealth Management has transformed the way our team delivers financial advice. With their support, we're more equipped and more empowered than ever to provide top-tier financial planning, investment management, and personalized financial guidance. Apollon has been a key partner in helping us achieve our clients' unique financial goals. Whether you're an advisor looking to enhance your client experience or an investor ready to take your wealth management to the next level, reach out today to The Real Money Pros by visiting therealmoneypros.com. Let's elevate your financial future today.
I'm Nick Daniels with Tree City Advisors of Apollon. My team and I help our clients implement tax-smart strategies because taxes are one of the largest headwinds your investments face. We use strategies like Roth conversions, 1031 exchanges, and more because a good advisor should help you with more than just investment selection. Visit us today at treecityadvisors.com or call us at 208-888-1244.
Advisory services offered through Apollon Wealth Management, LLC, DBA Tree City Advisors of Apollon, an investment advisor registered with the Securities and Exchange Commission.
As a financial advisor, I often see that many families I meet with end up paying way too much money in taxes. If a healthy family has an insurance plan with a low deductible but high annual premium, why wouldn't they look at a high deductible insurance plan instead? They could save on their premiums and put those saved dollars into a health savings account, also known as an HSA. It's the most powerful tax advantage account title available to us, so why not use it? Take advantage of pre-tax money that could be grown tax-free and then use tax-free for all of your qualified healthcare expenses. That's why you need Lively. Our favorite because it's simple, fast, and free. I use it, my colleagues use it, and I recommend it to all of my clients. Visit Lively right away. You can even roll over your existing HSA money into this new plan and start saving right away. I know you're going to love the entire experience. Visit livelyme.com/pro today. That's livelyme.com/PRO. Lively is a proud sponsor of the Real Money Pros.
Begin your home ownership journey today. Look no further than Academy Mortgage, your first choice home loan lender. And forget about dealing with brokers and middlemen. With Academy Mortgage, everything happens in-house, from origination to funding. Say goodbye to hassles and surprises. Their team of seasoned professionals will be with you every step of the way. That's academymortgage.com. Academy Mortgage, your first choice home loan lender.
Academy Mortgage Corporation, NMLS 3113, is an equal housing lender.
Imagine financial advice without a sales pitch to buy something, and imagine a long-term financial plan focused on your goals, not somebody else's, and the day that you can leave your broker because you know how to do things on your own. At Tree City Advisors, we do things a bit differently than our peers. First, we help you define your purpose for investing. We help you clean up messes or complicated financial issues from your past. We help you organize all your financial pieces into something manageable. We're a fiduciary-only firm, and we design simple strategies. And we teach you how it all works without clutter, confusion, or high cost. We can either do your investments for you, or we can teach you how to do them on your own. In the end, we empower you with knowledge, lower fees, and confidence. Welcome to Tree City Advisors. This is the way we think if financial advisors should work for their clients. At Tree City Advisors, we provide flat fee planning and training. We also offer full service asset management, and we employ do-it-yourself technologies. There's never a fee for an initial meeting or review, so let's get started. Learn more at treecityadvisors.com. Tree City Advisors is an SEC registered investment advisor.
Money Pros.
We are back. This is The Real Money Pros, therealmoneypros.com. That's how you find us. Live program here on the weekends, talking money, economies. That's fine. We're going to have to talk about politics as well. There's a lot of stuff going on in the Middle East. The United States and Israel together bombing Iran. Israel's reporting that Khamenei is dead, but I don't know that that's been verified. If this is one of those things where we get in, get out very quick. You know, I thought we were done last summer. I thought the words sent to us is that we wiped out their nuclear program. So here we are doing it again. And will this work? They're looking for a regime change. I don't know, but it does happen on Fridays and Saturdays, it seems. So it somewhat calms down by Monday. But what do you think? Jeremiah Bates is here and Brian Wiley. We have Jake on the line calling out of Miami, Florida. He wants to talk about the Iran situation. Hi, Jake. Thanks for calling the program.
Hello, Boise, not Boise. I'm one of the few people in the grand state of Florida that knows it's pronounced Boise, not Boise.
There's no Z in Boise.
Many people mispronounce your town.
That's fine.
Yeah, you know,
I can handle it. Just knows now. I know they're a guest.
Jesus out of me. Anyway, good to hear you guys. Good to hear that somebody on WIOD Miami is talking about the war instead of the State of the Union address, which was the recorded program previous to you there, the previous hour. They preempted your first hour, and that's too bad. You guys are pretty good. I've never heard you before. Which one's Brian and which one's Jeremy?
It's Brian right here, and I stayed at a Holiday Inn Select, so I can do any radio show. I'm so knowledgeable. No, I'm kidding. We appreciate that. Yeah, we've been doing it for quite some time. 25 years I've been broadcasting now.
I was on the air for 30 years, but I'm happily retired.
Good for you.
I was thinking that, Jake. I said you sound like you got that sports broadcaster voice. It's great.
What an insult! I hate sports radio, particularly call-in radio.
I said broadcaster.
where they say on sports talk radio, those jerks, whenever they're talking about Roger Maris, who I saw play more than once in person, when they talk about Roger Maris, they always mispronounce it asterisk. As you know, it's an asterisk on his record. 61 home runs and 61. Last one at Yankee Stadium over the right field fence.
Oh, you're just giving yourself away left and right now. So, Jake, what do you think about what's going on in Iran? I mean, is this another tail wagging the dog? I mean, we're not even paying attention to what we did to Mexico now.
I hated that movie, for one, Wag the Dog, and for two, I don't buy into that kind of conspiracy theory. I do recognize that this is hardly Pearl Harbor or 9/11, but it's not only the biggest story of the weekend, it's an enormous gamble for the president. And he seems to be like Ronald Reagan. Ronald Reagan's many charms. I'm a Reaganite through and through, always have been. Among his many charms, aside from his smile and his good nature, he was a lucky guy. And Trump seems to be lucky. If Trump ends up toppling this regime and we don't have a so-called endless war out of it, then Trump will be rightly remembered as one of the greatest presidents in history. Some would say he already is, but I'm a Reagan and Lincoln and Andrew Jackson guy, so I can't put him in the first tier of presidents yet, but he's working on it, and if his gamble pays off, fantastic for him, and more important, fantastic to the for the nation, and most important, fantastic for the world. But it is a gamble, and I'm not a gambler, so I wouldn't have rolled that pair of dice. But he may come up with a 7 or 11. I wish him the best. I wish you guys the best. You got a fine syndicated infomercial. Keep it up. Well, no, you're not an infomercial. You've been on the air for 30 years. I admire your style. I will continue to listen whenever WIOD Miami airs you.
Thank you so much for the call and all the great spirit too, Jake. And I got to tell you right now that I am very similar to you. When we talk about comparing President Trump to Reagan, I have to tell you, I get a little offended at the beginning because President Reagan had one ability that I've not seen President Trump do, which is to negotiate the fact that a government took themselves down. And he went through that with Gorbachev, and we saw the communist nation, the USSR, break up because it happened from within. And Reagan actually he asked them to tear the walls down. There was a lot of economic pressure on them and so on. Whereas now there's not a whole lot of talk. And we do go in it. There's a lot of lives at stake, is what I was saying to Jeremiah. I remember before, or right at the beginning, when Palestine or the Gazans, Hamas, had actually gone in against Israel, and I it's just in my gut had felt, man, there's going to be a lot of people dead because of this, and people that are unaffected are uninvolved, I could say, and that's my biggest concern. This isn't just about the military. I do remember, the criticism given from President Trump about Zelensky firing missiles directly toward Putin's home, like, oh, this is getting too personal. Well, I think if you're a soldier on the field, it's always personal. Everything is personal, and it's their life that is going to be lost or could be lost, or they're going to take one. And so this war thing, it's tough. I think there needs to be some more communication with the American public about the tough choices we're making and the reasons why we're making them, so we can become stronger together and not more divided right now. This isn't the time for it, because we're putting a lot of Americans in harm's way right now.
Yeah, I would argue that's just communication, right? Just you think back to the tariffs, the Liberation Day, where it was, okay, we're implementing these tariffs because it's unfair. It's like, okay, a lot of people define unfair certain ways. Like, what might be unfair to me might be a certain categorization that might be different from you, Brian. But again, when we look at the approach towards Iran, I mean, what is the plan? Like, how does this benefit the meaning a clear, articulated message that really explains it. So at least there's just clear communication right there. And it's like Jake said, yeah, I mean, that I guess, going to war with any country in any regard. I mean, it is that gamble. You just don't know what that outcome is ultimately going to be in the short term, the midterm, and the long term, and how does it change trajectory of certain things, and certainly how does the greater world look at the United States?
I mean, you got to think about a theocratic state. I mean, really think about it. I think the same thing with North Korea. They have deified Kim Jong-un. They have deified Khomeini. Meaning these people believe that they are God appointed. So, I mean, if you've got God behind you, then who could ever be against you? And you'd go all in on it because that's God. I mean, that's the whole thing. And those theocratic states they're dangerous. And I think they'll do anything. And so if we underestimate the enemy in this case, it could turn out disastrous. Now, do the people want it? Because I do believe that the average Iranian person is probably a good-hearted person that is stuck just like Americans are, in some cases having politicians speak on their behalf that they don't even agree with. But do we, I mean, put it this way. We went in and took the president of Venezuela right out of his house. I mean, he's all of a sudden, he's watching Netflix and all of a sudden he's gone and now he's in New York. And so there's going to be some sort of a regime change. We had some involvement with the takedown of a Mexican cartel last week, and I guess giving information, probably advice to Mexico, maybe even weapons. I don't know. Now we're in Iran, and that's the concern. So this is political, which is, is that what you want? Is this what we support? Now, could the outcome be great? Yeah, it could be great. It could be. And that's usually seeking that outcome is what motivated us to get to the point where we are now. So it apparently is that important to see Iran and that regime taken out. And I can somewhat understand because it'd be very difficult to vote against God. Like, does a person actually get to vote there? Is it really a vote, or is this just another endorsement for the Khomeini to stay there? And will it change? I don't know. With oil prices, I know that we are much more independent than we were the last time that this really wound up in the Middle East, at least potentially being a mess like it was back in 1991 or in 2003, but even worse so in 1973. We've got a lot more oil now. We have a lot more independence from oil and energy production. And take, for example, what's gone on with Europe being so dependent upon Russian natural gas to come through the pipelines to them that the United States we put a lot of natural gas online. We've been putting it in tanks, and now we'll happily send it over on a ship and send it over to the European nations and supply them as much as we can. The economies will, and they always have, wagged the dog on what's going to happen politically in geopolitics. It's just always been the case. Germany didn't go after all of the other nations in Europe simply because they didn't like the color of their skin. They had felt that they were being oppressed by the rest of the European nations and not being given access to free markets and so on, so they felt like there was no way for them to make it out. And that desperation, it was shown as a perfect example of what a desperate nation will do. Look what Japan had done after the war had really turned onto those people. Same thing. They had deified their leader, and those people came through. I mean, it was just full desperation. It's a mess. I don't like it either. But I do think it's going to do what happened in every other time in history, which is you give it time, and time will heal those wounds. This is the Real Money Pros. Jeremiah Bates is here. I'm Brian Wiley. Businesses today face a barrage of challenges. They hunt for top talent, the search for the right benefits package, and the ever-rising tide of healthcare rates. And putting together the right team to run your HR-related tasks can be expensive, let alone time-consuming. Enter Ataraxis PEO, your professional employer organization ready to tackle all your HR needs from payroll to benefits administration, payroll services, workers' compensation, and talent recruiting. They've got you covered. With Ataraxis, you gain access to a team of experts who handle the nitty-gritty of HR, freeing you up to focus on what you do best, growing your business and growing your revenue. Ataraxis takes the time to learn about your business, crafting personalized solutions to help you and your team succeed. So say goodbye to the stress of HR administration and hello to Ataraxis. Experience the power of a true business partner with Ataraxis PEO. Visit ataraxispeo.com. That's ATARAXISPEO.com. Ataraxis, elevating businesses for the benefit of all.
Have you ever met with a financial advisor looking for some advice just to leave being sold an annuity you didn't want? At Tree City Advisors of Apollon, we do things a bit differently. We focus on your financial goals, helping you fix past mistakes, simplify your current finances, and plan for the future with confidence. Your first consultation is always free and without obligation. Visit treecityadvisors.com and start your journey to financial freedom now. That's treecityadvisors.com.
As a financial advisor, I often see that many families I meet with end up paying way too much money in taxes. If a healthy family has an insurance plan with a low deductible but high annual premium, why wouldn't they look at a high deductible insurance plan instead? They could save on their premiums and put those saved dollars into a health savings account, also known as an HSA. It's the most powerful tax advantage account title available to us, so why not use it? Take advantage of pre-tax money that could be grown tax-free and then use tax-free for all of your qualified healthcare expenses. That's why you need Lively. Our favorite because it's simple, fast, and free. I use it, my colleagues use it, and I recommend it to all of my clients. Visit Lively right away. You can even roll over your existing HSA money into this new plan and start saving right away. I know you're going to love the entire experience. Visit livelyme.com/pro today. That's livelyme.com/PRO. Lively is a proud sponsor of the Real Money Pros.
Back to the Real Money Pros.
So while the world is going to try to make sense of what's going on in the Middle East, this is a money show. And you're sitting on investment accounts, you've got retirement accounts, you have goals. You may have thought, well, I'm going to try to retire next year, and now I probably can't because now I'm concerned about what's going to happen. If you learn about the better buckets, now our last caller had said something about it, the infomercial, that's fine. 100%, I will tell you right now, I'm going to sell you the better bucket system for free because that's all I'm selling. I just want you to go to the website. Sponsor support it. The program is brought to you by sponsors. So we don't get anything about you reading about better buckets or actually putting it in and using it in your portfolio as a baseline for what you do everything with your money with. In fact, I think you'll find out that there are some concepts in there that actually work toward things that are not even money related. But nonetheless, better buckets, the whole idea here is that we understand what money needs to be liquid and when. We need to understand what will be depleted out of a portfolio and how is it going to be replenished. That's the income bucket. And then we have the growth. This is what you do to be able to hedge against long-term inflation, worldwide events, big changes. You invest for the long run. So when we watch what's going on with the markets, instead of panicking yourself, understand how the panic is on people who are just now starting to realize that their goals might be changing because they need the liquidity from things that are falling quickly. That's the panic. You don't have to experience that panic because if you had 3 years worth of your liquid needs, like you had a $2,000 a month shortfall in retirement from, you just don't have enough Social Security and pension income to make up everything. So now you're going to look at your qualified accounts, your 401k, and maybe your Roth or other saved money, and you're thinking, I need to come up with another $2,000 every single month just to keep making ends meet. Well, that's $24,000 a year. You don't have $24,000 then invested in Tesla or NVIDIA or oil or even gold for the matter because you need the $24,000 sometime within the next 12 months. Now multiply that number times 3, and that's what I learned from the Great Recession. From the Great Recession, I learned that 18 months worth of your liquidity is not enough. And it may be enough from a recovery standpoint where you'd seen it go down and it goes back up, assuming that you made the dumb decision to actually invest the money. But instead, what about the emotional part of it? See, what happens with people is that even if I said to you, the markets typically are going to recover in 18 months, when you're in the midst of it, and the bullets are flying like they are right now, you're not thinking about, I got to last 18 months. You're thinking about, no, this could be worse. This is always different. It's going to be, I need to get out. So every time it's going to feel like it's something different. But if you said, you know what, your money's not even invested. You've got $72,000 worth of cash sitting in cash equivalents in your 401k or your Roth or your bank account, meaning it's there when you need it. So now let's talk about, will the income that is kicking back into that first bucket at the rate of $24,000 a year, will that income continue? That's the greater question to be answering. Because then we're going to look at it and say, okay, well, do you think that this Iran issue, the Middle East, will be largely done in 3 years, maybe digested by the world and maybe recovered, and we moved on to the other world events that would be affecting our times at that point? And most people would say, oh, yeah, 3 years? Yeah, probably. Okay. Well, then let's look at the income that you're getting from your invested money, and let's see if we feel that those companies should be susceptible to any reasons why they can't pay that income, whether it's going to be a bond that have interest payments back to you and plus the principal at some point, or if it is a government organization paying that bond, or if it's private, or if it's a dividend-paying stock. Do these companies continue to pay dividends? Do they have a steady source of revenue? Are they highly connected to Iran? I don't think anything's highly connected to Iran unless you're building Shaheed missiles or whatever.
Or you need saffron. Apparently, they produce 90% of the world's supply of saffron. Interestingly enough, yeah.
Maybe that's why we shut Afghanistan down, because they produce most of the world's poppy opium. We don't need that relationship anyway, then, right? Well, I don't know what's going to happen with Iran. I am focused on the human aspect of it. I'm not worried about it from the money standpoint. I do know that some people will be pretty concerned, and I think it's a great time to call your financial advisor. And let's go back to Bob's call in the early part of the last hour, which was, what kind of relationship should I have with my financial advisor? I'll tell you right now, you need a financial advisor that communicates. And that is always the case. I don't care if you like the presidency or if you don't like the presidency, this one or the last administration. It doesn't matter. It's the communication. Are they keeping you within the buckets? Are you still okay making sure that you've got 36 months worth of cash available and that your income bucket is producing the income at the rates that it's doing, or should things be adjusted? Because Jeremiah and I, about 5 years ago, actually post-COVID, there were some tremendous income opportunities, investments that had been beaten up but were still paying dividends. The yields were extremely high. And there was a time in there that we said we should be making some pretty big adjustments to the income portfolios. Even if the clients don't necessarily need the more income, we could then peel off some of it and then send it back to the growth bucket or add into their income, meaning it provided opportunity. So how do you see this event? Is it scary or is it opportunity? I'm going to guess that those people who are following a system like the Better Buckets that you find at therealmoneypros.com or something very similar to it, you're going to look at it more likely as an opportunity than you would as a threat.
I mean, let's put the Better Bucket system into an actual scenario that I ran into 2019 going into COVID. Client retired December of 2019, a couple months before COVID hit, meaning you were no longer in accumulation mode, and she was a high income earner, by very high, powerful position and corporate job, earned a lot of income, basically a problem solver that was in high demand. She retired young. She's like, listen, this is I'm at the season of life where I want to spend some more time with my kids. Like, can I do this? We did the whole plan. Said, I'm going to use a fake name here. Kelly, you're great. Here's how we're going to structure things. Follow the bucket system to a T. That wasn't complicated. Obviously, we put some efficiencies in there and all that. COVID hits. She reaches out. And, of course, everyone was a little concerned at that point, especially at the initial onset of COVID. Everything was shut down. We really didn't know where anything was going. So imagine the emotional feelings that we all had at that time. But also imagine you retired and you're putting all your eggs in this basket to now you're living off of the assets that you saved your entire life. She calls me concerned. She's like, I blew it. I retired at the wrong time. I'm going to have to go back to work. I'm like, no, Kelly, you're fine. I'm like, what do you mean? I'm like, well, here's what we did. I mean, we structured things. We have plenty of liquidity to still cover things. All the trips that you want to do, well, you can't do them because the world shut down, but we can reallocate those dollars towards something else. But ultimately what I'm telling you is yeah, we did not see this coming. Like no one saw this coming, right? And those are what you could argue are the biggest risks when you come to market reactions, is the one that no one sees coming. But whether it was COVID or some other type of event where we'd see a big market drawdown, we prepared for this to a T, where we have your liquidity handled, we have your income handled, and we have your growth handled. So, of course, we get out of COVID. Fast forward, I actually just met with her a couple months ago, and she's looking at her accounts, and I'll run into this from time to time where she looks at the whole number of all of her investments, and she's just shaking her head, like just in disbelief of, wow, like I can't believe that this number. I was like, well, number one, you did a good job, and number two, it's the beauty of assigning your money to have a specific purpose. So yeah, the money that we assigned to growth, markets have absolutely crushed it since you've retired. So guess what? Now we get to have a better quality of impact on your life, where now she's taking a 3-week trip to Japan with her son. So I mean so we can talk about this in theory, but when you see it actual in real life practice, where you have an insane market event and then you have time to recover and let it out, but meaning you got to feel good as an advisor too, where you're like, I did the right thing. That's why you do the planning. That's why you assign tangible financial targets. And that's why you assign a timeline and a purpose to your money. And then you execute it and let it do its thing. And there's a positive outcome on that other side.
So the idea of the whole better buckets is really just to have that critical thought process of saying, okay, what do I really need the money for? And how is it actually going to come to me? And if you think about this, I told you the middle bucket is going to be full of income-producing things that you've invested in. Well, then that narrows it down to dividend-paying stocks or interest from bonds or business income, rental income. So then it starts to tell you exactly how to invest the money. This is the roadmap that Bob was asking about earlier. Can I understand it? Yeah, visually, you can. Go to therealmoneypros.com, find us, communicate with us, and listen next week. Have a great weekend.
The Real Money Pros is hosted by Brian Wiley and other team members of Tree City Advisors of Apollon. Tree City Advisors of Apollon is a DBA of Apollon Wealth Management, an SEC-registered investment advisor and affiliate of the Real Money Pros. The Real Money Pros and Tree City of Apollon are not affiliated with any of the companies or non-advisor professionals participating on this program. Ataraxis PEO and Apollon Wealth Management are financial sponsors of the Real Money Pros. Additionally, Apollon receives advisory fees for these sponsors and or their representatives for investment advice. Log into therealmoneypros.com to contact the host for advice, show archives, educational material, and more. This program is brought to you by the quality sponsors heard within this broadcast.
Businesses today face a barrage of challenges. They hunt for top talent, the search for the right